It's Leslie Meredith with Breakbulk Events and Media. And today we have a preview for our upcoming Space Cargo Logistics webinar, which is part of the Breakbulk America's digital special. This exciting webinar will happen on November 4th. So it should be really great. And I have one of our panelists with me here today. This is Jeff Bitner, who is a Senior Principal Supply Chain Logistics Specialist. It's a long title, Jeff, for Northrop Grumman. And he will be on this panel. We will also have someone from NASA and several others, so it should be really good. So we just want to take this opportunity to get to know Jeff a little bit. So we'll start by, we know that you have worked for Northrop Grumman for, 35 years, and almost 30 of those in logistics.
That's true.
Yeah, good. Glad we have our facts straight. So you've been involved in the transport of NASA's Space Shuttle program rocket boosters some time ago, and now you've got the booster segments for the Space Launch System, part of the Artemis program that will put the first woman and next man on the moon by 2024. So my first question to you, Jeff, is this is probably not your first time, but how does it feel to be involved in the next chapter of the U.S. space program?
You know, I've worked here for so long. I've seen a lot of things come and go, and it's exciting to be a part of the upcoming program and see what's going on and the things we are developing and the processes we can do.
All right, so I see some pretty interesting things behind you in your office. Tell us about those, the two big pictures.
These are pictures by an artist that works here, and he does primarily art for space and aeronautical. And if you look at those, they're for jets, and they're actually rockets that we have made here at our facility that the jets are firing. We've made over the years, we've made a lot of different types of rocket motors here, not only space shuttle, but we've made smaller rocket motors too for defense and other purposes.
Well, I know, yes, you have a lot of contracts. You've been very busy. One thing that I think is really interesting is the concept of the rocket train. And so the boosters that you're currently transporting are fundamentally being transported the same way that the boosters 30 years or so ago were transported. Can you tell us about that, and how is the transport the same, and are there any new logistics considerations that you see in these next gen boosters?
Yeah, we've transported the boosters. The SLS are being transported very similar to what we did for shuttle. We made boosters here for 114 shuttle flights. And so over the shuttle program, that's at least probably 114, probably closer to 150 shipments we made from Utah to Florida transporting rocket boosters. With the boosters we're building now, the shuttle uses 4 boosters. The SLS program uses 5 on each side. And so we have 2 extra boosters that we do transport using for the SLS program. We monitor them now. We have different ways of monitoring. We have GPS, we have attachments we put onto the rocket boosters to monitor G-forces, every direction, temperature, humidity. And so we can monitor everything that's those boosters going through from here to Florida and know what's happening with them.
Now, do you have a setup, some kind of a room like NASA where you see where the data comes in, or not that complex?
Not that complex. At one time we did, but things are pretty automated now, and we can, if there's an issue, we get alerts. We receive alerts through our satellite programs and through our GPS programs if there's an issue, or if the rocket motors receive any kind of a G load, or stray out of course, get on the wrong track somewhere, it'll let us know.
Yeah, has that ever happened in the time that you've been, in all the years that you've been there? Have you ever received an alert?
Yes, we've had a few problems. Considering the number of shipments we've made over the years, about 12 years ago, we did have a derailment in Kansas. A couple of wheels came off the track, and so we had to get repaired.
But the cargo was okay?
The cargo was okay.
Okay.
We had no problem with the cargo on that derailment. It was, everything went well. We just had to put new wheels and repair the rail cars, and then we were on our way.
Absolutely. So is the rocket train, I love the name of it, is it the same rail cars that have been in use for a long time, or have those evolved?
No, they are the same cars we've used, at least since I've been involved in it. We're using the same cars. We've got 12 heavy-duty 8-axle flat cars. Union Pacific owns the rail cars, and they let us use them. And our cars are taken really good care of. After they get used, they come back to Utah, and we'll send them up to a Union Pacific Railroad shop in Idaho, and they will take the cars all apart, all the wheels, and take everything off of them, make sure everything's perfect and no cracks and everything's perfect, put them all back together, replace any parts that need replaced, and have them ready for our next shipment.
That is great. That's sort of the old, if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? I mean, not the fixing part, but the idea that this mode of transportation has worked and is still working. So it's, a testament to something that's tried and true, I think.
Yes. And our cars are really probably some of the best cars, taken care of cars in the fleet for the size of cars. They're extra heavy cars. They're 200-ton cars to haul that heavy a load. And our loads are high wide. We're extra wide. We're nearly 13 feet wide, and we're 13 feet above the deck of the rail car. So we're close to 17 feet high at the top. So they are big loads.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with this upcoming webinar on November 4th, our viewers are all people that work in the breakbulk and heavy lift community. So most of them will be familiar with working with high and heavy loads, such as you described. But most will not be familiar with space cargoes. Are there additional logistics considerations that have to be made for moving this specialized type of cargoes?
Well, yes. We have to have, first off, we have to have approvals from the Department of Transportation. Hazardous materials, because they are hazardous materials, so we have to have approvals from the Department of Transportation. And also, when we go to ship these cars, we have to go to the railroads. We have to have clearances. The railroad has to run clearances every time we ship these cars, every time they go out on the railroad. And we have 3 different railroads we're involved with. We go from UP, from Corinne to Memphis, Tennessee on the Union Pacific. Then we go from Memphis to Jacksonville, Florida on the Norfolk Southern. Then we go from Jacksonville to Kennedy Space Center on the Florida East Coast Railroad. And so each of those railroads has to be cleared to make sure there's no other wide loads or anything along the track that could interfere or damage our rail cars.
Well, all right, that sounds good. Let's see. So, I know what I want to know. When is your next transport?
Probably, we don't anticipate, I can't tell you exactly when.
I know.
It'll be probably sometime next summer, next fall.
I see. So do you avoid the winter months then because of weather conditions?
Well, we try to avoid weather conditions. There are some of the adhesives and things that are in our rocket motors that do require that, a certain temperature to have temperature restraint. So, we don't necessarily avoid it entirely, but we do try and keep a watch on the weather. We don't want weather to interfere with our shipments.
Absolutely. Well, that makes sense. Well, I know that we'll all be looking forward to hearing more from you in just 2 weeks from today, actually. So thank you so much for joining me today, and we look forward to learning more about the logistics for space cargoes on Thursday, November 4th.
It sounds good.
All right. Thanks so much, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.